I was raised Baptist with my parents and my grandparents who lived in southern Mississippi, and would always go to backwoods like churches that were just like family members being the pastor, and it was very close knit. So, it was the typical Baptist style church. You get some coffee, get some food afterwards. It was a good time, and I started I started considering Catholicism whenever I married my wife. Her name is Kristen. She is a cradle Catholic. Her parents are Catholic, and her grandparents are Catholic. And my marrying into that almost stood like no chance. My agnosticism at that point stood no chance. And I was prompted by my wife's friend's husband. I'll make that clear in a sec. So my wife would go to church. I would not. She would come here, go to mass. I would not. And she made friends with another mom in the kids area, with the kids room, the cry room. And they became friends, started doing stuff together, and then got the husbands involved. And one husband was like a 3rd-degree black belt in apologetics, right? And he prompted me to become Catholic, become the leader of my household, for as far as the fatherly figure and the spiritual leader of my home, and I was like, man, it sounds like a lot of work. I didn't want to do it. Like the whole school year of studying what? Like from a Baptist background, thought I knew everything. I was like, man, this is it. That's all it's got to be, right? Well, lo and behold, right? So that's when I started considering it. I was prompted and I responded. I responded with a yes. It sounded exciting. It was kind of new. I had just gotten out of college, with 2 kids, and I'm married, so that was rough. So why not go further and study an entire religion and make a life choice based on that? And so that's when I started considering Catholicism, right? So day one. So day one, RCIA. Me and Sammy are there. We're cutting up. This was me and Sammy. Sammy was my sponsor, and he was the husband I mentioned earlier. Sammy and I kind of fed off of each other with our energies, right? We would just kind of hype each other up, like literally. And I'm sorry, but I had a tally going every time we had RCIA class. Sammy being the apologetics that he was, and just super like knowledgeable on the faith. He would answer a question when it was asked by the speaker of an RCIA night, and every time he got it right, I'd give him a tally, and every night it was like 10 out of 0. I couldn't keep up with him. But my first impression was that it was a group of good people, and then the leaders were a group of good people dedicating their time to making sure I have a course correction in my life. And I realized that the first few meetings there, it was very knowledgeable. I got a lot of information and had a week in between classes, so I had time to chew on it and process it and then connect the dots. And so even with the material given, I was able to connect these dots. I was able to further my advancements towards becoming Catholic. And so my first impression was a good one. There was a lot going on. The atmosphere was lighthearted. There was food. There's a lot of good people interacting with each other. And whenever they were kind of closed off, I don't think I would have participated much, because I feel like everybody else was kind of closed off. But everybody was open. The room was talking to each other, and that created like a camaraderie very fast. And I remember like all of us were talking, we text each other after, it just made it created an atmosphere of we're doing this together. And we all had our we were the ride along, and here's the sponsor, where are we going? And it was a good time. So that was my first impression with RCIA. And oh man. So one of my favorite things about RCIA was the knowledge being given, right? There is a logical way to interpret what has happened and how you should apply this to your life religiously. Jesus did not come down just so he can just point at the Bible and say, everything about me is right here. You're limiting God with that kind of a mentality. And here I am studying a way to release my thoughts on what God is, and he becomes more than where I've put him in this box. I'm limiting him by the box if I go off of something, just one thing. It's mind-boggling when viewed from that perspective. God is much more than miracles that happened 2,000 years ago, and before that in nothing since. He just changed the game. He didn't change what his intent was, from Judaism to Catholicism. And so my first impressions of having all that knowledge that I didn't realize I was craving it. You wanted to know truth. Somebody's giving it to you. Absorb it. Chew on it. Pray about it. We have a word for this in Catholicism. It's called discernment. Pray about how God should take you through this information. He does every time you ask him. So, and it's been fun over the last few years watching him take you through this path that you didn't create, you didn't lay before yourself. You're not walking by yourself. He's right next to you, and slowly having that realization blossom in my life has really just had a big impact that I contribute back to RCIA having this knowledge path, right? So that's how I got into apologetics too, is having this amount of information that I've never even considered coming from a Baptist background. Almost seems like we don't want to, there's some conflicting views there, right? So it makes sense. The next thing would be experience receiving a sacrament. I don't even know which one to start with. I currently, in my heart, feel holy orders. Deacon one day. That's never going to go away. One of those things in life that's concrete, and you're like, nope, this is how it is, right? I don't know if in 20, 30 years I'm going to become a deacon. But I know that my heart is willing to serve, and that's where I want to be. And I hope God wants me there too. If not, I'll just have to listen to where he's putting me. Another sacrament that I remember taking First Communion. It's Easter night, right? It's Easter. There are candles everywhere. It's totally like Atmosphere City, right? Like you're constantly sitting there. Everybody's holding a candle. Easter Vigil, the house is packed, right? And being able to take First Communion, I always wondered what it was going to taste like. Like, oh man, it's a dry cracker, the physical sense. But the transmogrification of it is that I am recovenanting myself with Christ. And it wasn't the physical sense of taste, but it was the spiritual sense of quenching that really kind of hit home and was remarkable, and I'll never forget it. Confession. Tell you what, there's no better day than feeling like you just got that load off your chest, right? And you're going to come and you're going to go see a priest, and you're going to just, excuse the words, you're going to spiritually just vomit all the things you're in your closet you've been packing around for years. Do you know what the sensation is? It feels like ice cold water on the inside. It feels like water. Whenever you are spiritually cleansed, there's no more like, man, I'm right with God. I am in sanctifying grace now. You feel it. There's this clean feeling people talk about after confession. It's not because like one dude felt it. It's because many people feel it, right? But you have to kind of seek it. Like, I'm looking to get right with God, not just because it's what I was raised to do. No, it's because it's canon. It is a sacrament. It's how I experience God, which is what sacraments are. Many different ways to experience God. So those are a few examples from first time I partook in sacraments. So if you are considering becoming Catholic, reach out to your church, call the office, there's usually an RCIA director or somebody who knows who's leading that. And I highly suggest getting out there and deciding on the not just physical action, but from the interior place that you have and I have to make the decision to take those first steps. So you can also attend some of the first few classes. No obligations there. Just come in, sit down, listen, participate, and interact. If you come in there, have no expectation. You're there to learn. If there's there's only fruit if somebody's willing to pick it, and bring it and put it in a basket. And you need to come with your basket expecting fruit. Pray about it and show up. There's no reason to, there's nothing gonna hold you there. It's all a decision that you make. You might be answering a call. Christ might be leading you down. So come by, come see us, come say hey. Everybody's awesome, and there's food.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're interested in becoming Catholic or any of the amazing things going on at Immaculate Conception Catholic Church, you can follow us on Facebook or YouTube, or check out our website at iccmsh.org. God bless.